In 2023, I made about £22,300 reselling on eBay. In this video, I want to tell you about how I did it. And bear in mind, in the past 7 days, the first week of January 2024, I've made an extra £700. Now, this is something which I know that anybody can do. And whilst I run many businesses, I want to speak about this one first because I know it's one of the easiest to start. You don't really need any money to do so. And I want to speak about how I experienced this growth in my business. Now, bear in mind, a lot of the year I wasn't even trading. I have to say that as well. So if I'd have been trading for the whole year, I'd have probably made closer to 30 or even 40,000. Let me tell you about how you guys can do the same in 2024. Now, bear in mind, guys, if you enjoy videos like this one, don't forget to like and subscribe. I know that it may not be the most visually interesting one, and I'm not even sure if I want to put backing music to a video like this, because I want to give you guys the straight up facts. But if you want to learn something, this is a channel for you, so don't forget to subscribe. Anyway, let's get into this topic and speak about what got me into eBay reselling initially, and then how I started to expand on the business. So if you guys don't know, I'm turning 21 this year, but obviously right now and in the past year, I was 20. At that point, I was a university student, as I still am, and I just didn't know how I was going to make more money. When I thought about it, it was summer at the time, and I didn't want to waste all my time getting a part-time job. It would just put me inside all day, and I didn't want that. I wanted to be out with my friends. So I had to get a solution. Now, I've always been someone who's run different business ideas, and I've made varying amounts of money. But I decided, why not give reselling a try? I initially tried this many years ago when I was selling old iPhones on eBay, but I didn't really think of it as a full-time business, and I never really scaled it for that reason. I was probably too young as well. But coming to where I was in 2023, I actually had a decent amount of money to start the business up, and I had the knowledge of how I wanted to do this. So I thought, right, do I need money to start this up? Well, actually the answer was no, because I decided to opt for a drop shipping model. And for those of you who do not know, that's where you order directly from a supplier and ship to the customer. The benefit of that would be that you don't necessarily have to hold inventory straight away. Now, you see, when you hold inventory immediately, you always run the risk of not being able to sell it, having issues with it that you otherwise wouldn't have, so it wasn't something I wanted. But I knew it was a good idea to have a few £100s set aside for this business, just in case you get any returns, refunds, or other issues that might come up, like fees and taxes and whatnot. So, just with a few £100s, I set about. Obviously, creating an eBay shop was free, so that was easy enough, and for the most part, the orders were free. In my first month, I made only £100 and got about, I think, 10 orders or something like that, well, the business started to grow and grow and grow. Now, every single month I was listing different items. I was listing a lot of different items. I wanted to, though, become the best seller in the niche I had chosen. But what does the best mean? That's what I started to think about. Well, one thing that I did know is I didn't want to waste my time with this business. I'm not here to do 500 orders a day and come back with £50. I see a lot of sellers on eBay, Amazon and Etsy and all these different platforms that are like that. They'll sell items for £1, £2 and they have to sell hundreds of orders or thousands of orders per day, per week to make a living. That was not something that I was interested in. So I decided, right, I need to make a decent profit margin per item. So I went for about £10 per item, and obviously the markup therefore quantified that or justified that. And whilst I didn't get the most sales, I did get sales. So I was surprised that it started to work, but I'd say a few things that got me initially rolling. One, the amount of items that I could list due to the dropshipping model. Two, the fact that I listed items every single day or every day that I could. And three, the fact that I remained committed. Now again, the first month, you might have actually called this business a failure. Bear in mind what 10 sales in a month looks like, and we're talking about from the start of the month. That's what, 1 or 2 sales, maybe 3 sales in a week at best. It wasn't good. It didn't make a lot of money in the first week or the first month, but it was a start. And I knew there was something here, because if I'd have made no money, then I'd have been a bit different. But having made some money, there was clearly a trend or a progression that could carry on that I wanted to invest in. So then I started to think about this a bit more. I thought, well, I could scale this up as time goes on, and I thought about how I was going to do this. So I started to list more and more and more different items, different categories, different niches, and believe it or not, the shop just started to grow. After a while, I became an expert in titles, tags, listings, in price points, and I can even now, if I have to say so, or if I do say so, look at my specific niches that I sell in, and I can, even if I'm talking about dropshipping items, I can say, right, my customers want this, my customers want this, and my customers want this and this at this price point. I can then price the item up, and that's the sort of connection with your industry that I think you need to get to have a genuine massive advantage. So that's how it all started. But let's talk about what made my business a little bit different to all the rest of them, and again, how this can apply to you guys, because obviously I'm giving you the backstory, but let's talk about how this was done. So again, the first thing that I said is, don't give up. It wasn't even necessarily for the eBay algorithm initially, but I knew the sort of person that I was. I am the sort of person who wants to get fully invested in a project. I will either be fully invested or not invested at all. So for that reason, I had to get fully invested in it. And what that meant is saying, hey, try this eBay stuff for a month, see where we go. So the first month I listed maybe 1 to 5 items at max a day and see where that went. And again, I started to get some sales. Now, I was starting to see results at this point, so then I wanted to get even better results. I decided to list 5 a day. And again, we're talking good titles, good tags, good keywords. And I'll speak more about how to get all of these things on my Discord server, which the link will be in the description for if you want to start making money online. Anyway, so my point is, I started with all of these things and got better at them. Better pictures and all that sort of stuff. And within a while, my figures increased. You know, the second month I was at maybe £320, and the next month I was at like £600. And that's just how it went, because I kept listing items. I kept getting my selling limits increased. And there were in the first few months, and a lot of it you can actually watch on this YouTube channel. If you set the videos to the oldest state and have a look from the beginning, you'll see a lot of the first videos. I'm talking about stress. I'm talking about, you know, having to do this. I'm talking about nearly giving up. I had a few moments where it was really tough. I had a few moments where I was barely even breaking even for the week, for the day, for the month. But I persevered with it because obviously the first month I made 100% profit, i.e. I didn't have any refunds. Second month the refunds started to come in because, you know, as the quantity goes up, you're obviously going to have some issues if you're dealing with tens of orders a week versus a month. And again, when you start to deal with 10 orders a day or more, that's when the stress really comes in. But anyway, so at this point I'm starting to get to a point where, you know, I'm making a few £100 a week, a month, and things are going good. Now, coming into the part of the year about July, now bear in mind I started this business around March, so coming into July, I'm getting really good figures, like really good. Like my revenue figures are 5, 6,000, 7,000, 8,000, even coming up to £10,000 a month in revenue. Not profit, I will admit that, not profit. And again, the 22,000 figure that I speak about is not the profit margin, that is the revenue. But I'm talking about how much the business has made. Anyway, so I remember one day distinctly. I'd had a great day out with my friends, in the sunshine because it was summer, and I was walking up to my house. Now at this point I checked my eBay app and another sale had come in. It was like 11 o'clock at night at this time, still a lovely warm summer's night, but another eBay sale had come in. And I checked the figures, and I wish I'd have taken a screenshot of this, but it is true. I'd hit over £1,000 revenue in the day. £1,000 in a day. It was amazing. I'd never seen anything like it. However, as much as I'd like to see more of it, my success then became short-lived. I'm going to get onto this bit because there is a happy ending, but my success became short-lived. My eBay shop started to have a few issues. Now, initially this started with a few of the items that I was selling. I was being told, copyright this and trademark that. And at the time, I didn't know that there was any issues with the items. And even if the items were or were not legitimate, and I do believe that they were, but this is one thing that I will say with eBay. Certain brands, you just have a lot of trouble with. So, to the best of my knowledge, the items were 100% authentic, but eBay can be difficult with things like this sometimes. So, I started to have issues coming in. I had a restriction on my shop for like 3 days, then for like 5 days, then for 7, then for 14, and then I went on holiday. Just a UK short break, not a massive holiday, but at this point I was making a lot of money on eBay and on a few of my other channels as well. But I was like, well, let's take a few days away. So I went away with a few friends, and I filmed a few videos whilst I was there actually, but I came back to my eBay account being suspended permanently. Nothing that I could do from that point. This was July. Now, bear in mind, I started this business in like March, I believe it was, as I said earlier. It's not been a long time at this point. I was making a lot of money. Like eBay was, and still is even at this point, one of my best income sources. I didn't want to lose that, especially when you're making £1,000 a day. So, but I didn't know what to do. I appealed and appealed and appealed, but I was told that I need to have tracking information for every single one of my items. Bear in mind, at this point, I think I sold over 500 items. That's impossible. I didn't know when I was a beginner what to do, how to do things correctly. And by the way, not for another plug, but that's the reason why you should join the Discord, because now I do know what I'm doing with a lot of these sales channels, and I can give you guys the advice that you don't make mistakes like this. But, you know, I didn't know what I was doing, so I don't have the tracking information for every single order. Some of them I shipped without tracking, some of them I just didn't even think to do it. And long story short, I couldn't get my eBay account back. So then I was in a very difficult position. For a few months I was like, well, you know, F eBay, for want of a better phrase. I'm not going back on their platform. But then I thought about it. It's like, okay, well, that was a great source of income, and it was a very easy business. Like, I'm talking an hour to 2 hours a day maximum. Very easy to make thousands of pounds a day, and I could see that scaling further and further. But I was running into this issue. But then I decided, well, what am I going to do? I tried Amazon selling, I tried Etsy selling, and Amazon is still a work in progress. More on that in a future video. I think with the length of time this video may take, that's just another topic. But Etsy selling, I've had some great success with, to be honest, and I'll speak more about that again in a different video. But that's that. And I realised either way, even if my Etsy store and my Amazon store make thousands, you're still missing out on thousands from your eBay shop. So I decided to take the risk. I'm just going to have to start a new eBay account, and this is something which I spoke about in one of my previous videos, and I've not had any problems with it since, and I pray that I won't have any problems with it in the future, so, pray for me, guys. But it looks like my eBay account's going to be fine as of now. So, we're back to square one at this point, the sales are coming in slow, but now I'm a lot more educated in it, I'm having a lot more success. So, instead of month one being like £100 in revenue, or profit rather, it's actually like £300 of profit. Instead of month two being £300, it's now 600. Instead of month three being, 6 or 700, now it's like 900 to 1,000. And again, in the past week alone, the profit margin that I've had is £250. So it's looking like, and again, I'm praying, I can't take it for certain, I don't think it's fair to, but all being well, extrapolating those figures, we're looking at a potential profit margin for January of about £1,000. So I think you get what I'm saying here. It's like I've been able to grow this a lot quicker to a point where I'm having more success. And one thing stayed consistent with each stage of this, and this is something which anybody can carry into this. My speed has been second to none. And I mean that in every regard, because I think this is what people forget. When you run an eBay shop, when you run a reselling business as a whole, or a selling business, or a business, it doesn't matter what industry you're in. Let's talk about reselling though, because that's the topic for this video. When you run an eBay shop, you are not just selling items. You've got to have spreadsheets for where your, profit lines are. You've got to have customer service for when something doesn't turn up. You've got to be a detective for when an item's lost in transit or something like that. How do you get it back? You've got to be willing to do product research. You've got to do all of these things, and that's just a small amount of what you do. So what I'm saying here is, if I kind of round it all back in, I have to be on the ball, because every single day that I'm not doing appropriate product research and listing up some crap item, someone is doing product research and they're listing up good items that are going to sell for the best price. Every single time that I don't want to respond to a customer, I risk having negative feedback. All that sort of stuff adds up, and customers appreciate a good experience. Now, I'm having a few issues with a few customers at the moment, and I don't know why, to be honest, because they're claiming things which, well, I have a customer claiming that an item hasn't arrived when tracking shows that it has. But my point is, in my first few months of running my first shop, I got a few negative feedbacks. Now, looking back, it was a learning experience, and it didn't really hinder my sales as a whole. And it is going to happen at some point to everyone. Even if you resolve an issue perfectly, there's always going to be that one person that has a problem with it. My point is, though, I got negative feedback because I didn't understand what I was doing. Now I do. And because I'm so on the ball, I can get everything done fast. It took me about 6 or 7 months to get my shop inventory up to about £52,000 on my first shop. Now, on my new shop, I've got a shop inventory currently of about £39,000. So hopefully in month 4 of this shop, which is going to be February, I might have a shop inventory closer to, or even around or above that figure that I hit in 6 months. So if I can get there faster, if I can hit higher levels due to better understanding, better customer service, etc., that's a great business. And this is easy. Like, this is what people don't understand, because a lot of people come from the business perspective of, money is tied to how hard you work. It's not the case in business. I do a lot of work to this, but I can get all my work wrapped up in 2 to 3 hours and make hundreds, if not thousands of pounds. Some days I don't even do any work on the shop. I just sit in bed, watch a movie, something like that, if it's a weekend, or even just go out shopping or something like that. And I can still make hundreds of pounds or even thousands. That's just this business. And again, this year, all being well, I want to take it to the next level. So if I hit 22,000 in revenue in 23, can I hit 50 or 60,000 in 2024? Now, considering how long of the year I had off last year, and considering the fact I had to rebuild my momentum after getting kind of knocked off, I think that's going to be possible. I really do. And this is just one of the businesses that I aim to grow this year. Moral of the story, guys, is at the end of the year, you do look back, whether you like it or not. People tend to. And I can look back on this business, for instance, and say, that's been a great use of time. Do you want to look back in the end of 2024 and say, it's been a good year, or do you want to say it's been a bad year? You get the choice, but it's stuff like this which really puts things into perspective for me, at least. You know, from the perspective that I started 2023 on, where I thought I wasn't really going to have much money by the end of the year, to creating multiple successful businesses, I'm really happy with that. I can't fault that at all. But that's all I wanted to say for this video. You know, I don't say it to brag, I don't say it to flex or show off or anything like that. I think transparency in business is an important thing, and I think on YouTube, not a lot of people like to be transparent. I could sit here and say, you know, I made 50,000, a million on my eBay shop, but I didn't. I made 22,000. It wasn't all profit, and my profit margins are increasing, but it wasn't all profit. I can speak about profit in a different video, but if we talk about building a business, when people talk about a six-figure business, they often don't mean profits, they mean revenue. And I have built a five-figure business in 2023. Can I build that into a six-figure in 2024, 2025? Possibly. I guess we'll have to wait and see. All I know is that I'm still going to be giving it my full, and I hope that you guys still are too. Thank you for watching this video. I hope to see you in our next one. Goodbye for now though. See you soon. Bye.